The church also set about regulating when, where, and with whom sex could take place. Those who broke the rules, even in thought, were to be punished. In Rome in 1215, Pope Innocent III made a dramatic intervention in sexual affairs. All Christians were to confess their sins to a priest at least once a year. It was a move designed to help the clergy to root out depravity. To help priests hearing confessions to decide what questions to ask, the seriousness of the sins they heard, and how to deal with them, encyclopedic guidebooks known as confessors' manuals were widely circulated. The biggest single category in these compendia of sin was sex. The message of the confessors' manuals: sex should only take place within marriage. Any other form of sexual activity was considered a sin. But even within marriage, sex was no easy matter. To avoid sinning, the church had a checklist that a husband should run through first.
Is your wife menstruating? Is your wife pregnant? Is your wife nursing a child?
Is it Lent? Is it Advent?
Is it Sunday?
Is it Whitsun week? Is it Easter week?
Is it Wednesday? Is it Friday?
Is it a fast day?
Is it Saturday?
Is it a feast day?
Is it daylight? Are you naked? Are you in church?
If you answered no to all these questions, then sex was permissible, but only once, and only in what is now called the missionary position. Taking everything into account, the church's sexual policing permitted married couples to have sex, on average, just once a week.
Punishments, or penances, involved a complex system of fasting and abstinence.
The manuals calibrated penance to fit each sin. For adultery once, 2 years penance. For adultery twice, 5 years. For sex with an animal, 7 years.
There were special questions for women. Had they consumed their husband's semen in order to inflame their lust? 7 years. Or put their menstrual blood in their husband's food in order to excite him? 5 years. This process of confession and penance mapped out every aspect of human sexuality and codified a sliding scale of punishments. And for those who chose to flout the rules, the church had a whole other level of investigation and retribution. Away from the privacy of the confessional was a more public court, one where the sins of the faithful could be held up and publicly condemned. In the Diocese of Lincoln, suspects were brought here to the great cathedral. Inside, clerics sat in judgment over the accused, here in the chapter house. The creation of church courts was an extraordinary extension of the church's control over people's behaviour. Confession was a private matter. This was something completely different. You could be summoned before the court on suspicion of your behaviour. And again, it was sex that preoccupied the minds of the authorities. The judges who sat here could impose stern penalties: excommunication, fines, and very public penance. This book contains the records of the court cases heard in this chapter house and in the parish churches of the Diocese of Lincoln. On Monday, the 16th of November, 1338, the court met and heard certain cases. John Warren, accused of fornication with Ellen Lancer. Both appear and confess the sin and swear not to sin again under penalty of 40 pence. Ordered to be beaten 3 times around the church. Thomas of Thornton, priest, reputed to have committed fornication with Alice, daughter of Robert Master. She is ordered as a penance to be beaten 12 times around the market square and 12 times around the church, naked except for her chemise. Beatrice, daughter of William Duty, pregnant, it is not known by whom, appeared in the chapter house at Lincoln and confessed the sin and was absolved. Swore not to sin again. Ordered to be beaten 6 times around the church on Sundays and feast days in front of all the procession. Religious authorities relied heavily on fear and shame to police their flock. All over the country, the full machinery of the church was brought to bear upon the sexual activities of the faithful.